So it's been about 3 months since we've done a Handwired board, and that's because my last one, the ScottoHazard, which I'll link in the description if you want to go watch that video and see about it. It's my first ever real split board where it used 2 controllers, but I really enjoyed that board and I kind of wanted to improve upon it. So today we're going to be building the ScottoChoczard, which the name kind of gives it away a little bit with what it is, but we're just going to jump in, we're going to start building it. So this here is the ScottoChoczard. Well, actually just one half of the board. I have the other half over here. And as we can see right now is that I kind of did partially assemble this just to make my life a little easier on this video. But what we have here is, of course, our little nice nano in the middle, because this is going to be a wireless build. We have a big 750 milliamp hour battery down here, as you can see. 750 milliamps, so this will basically last forever. And I do have to kind of mention that these were both sent to me by Nick over at Typeractive. I am affiliated with them, so there's an affiliate link in the description if you want to buy any like nice nanos or this battery in particular. But also Nick is the guy that actually designed the nice nano, so if you want to get nice nano stuff, I'd recommend getting it from Typeractive because then you're directly supporting the creator. But that's what I'm using on this, is a nice nano. I'm using a big ass battery on it, and then we have 4 little weights on here, which are just each 1/4 ounce. So we're adding 7, 14, and then 28 grams. So 28 grams of weight to it, just to make it a little heftier. And that's the overall case there. We have our lip in the side just to kind of hold the plate in, and then if we actually flip this up top, what you'll see is there's our nice nano port there, of course, for charging the nice nano or using it wired if you needed to do that. On the left here we're going to have a reset button, and then on the right we're going to have a power switch. Now the reason I did this, because normally on my nice nano builds I don't actually do a power switch or a reset button, because I don't need the reset button typically, as if I need a reset I can just open and reset it. But the first thing with that is that a reset button will allow us to pair the halves, because the way it works with the nice nano is that we'll have a wireless half over here, we'll have a wireless half over here, and then when we boot them up, we're going to actually have to press the reset buttons at the same exact time to pair the two together so the halves will be able to communicate. So that's the reason for the reset button. It just makes that a lot easier than trying to like coordinate tweezers on both of these to reset them at the same time. But I figured since I'm putting that reset button, I'll actually also add a power switch, because yet again, that's a thing I don't normally add on my wireless builds because I don't really find a need for it, because ZMK, the firmware that these run, actually has really good power management by default. So I don't really ever find a need to have a power switch, but I figured since we're going to have it on one half here, we might as well just put a power switch on, because why not? I can do that. So that is the overall case. Now for the power switch and reset button, I actually found these really cool ones on Amazon. They came with like wires on them I had to rip off, but we have these little switches right here. So we have one, which is just a momentary switch there. So that's the reset one. And then we have this one that will click in and out to actually work as our power button. So that will sit on one half over here. And then we'll put that one on there. And I'm not going to show putting these on video because it's very hard to get that like thing in there. I have to kind of put it inside and then twist it, so I'll just do that on the time-lapse part. But those are the main switches there. And then finally, of course, are the actual switches, which are going to be these right here, just some Choc pinks. Now originally I was going to use Choc reds on this, but I figured I should probably finally do a quote-unquote real Choc board, which people don't say that Choc reds are typically real Choc switches. So it's like, I'm going to use these Choc pinks. They're very light, like I think they're 30 gram bottom out. I'll correct that on the screen if that's not right, but they're very light actuation force. I didn't think I would like that until I kind of test fit everything together on this. I put them into the board and test fit everything, and it kind of feels pretty good. So I'm actually kind of excited to use these Choc pinks. We're going to see how that works out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these, I'm going to pop them into the plate here, which is the last thing I actually want to mention before we start doing that, is that the plate here is a 4x6 layout. Now, if you've known me for any amount of time, you know that I typically use a 4x5 layout. So we chop off this outer column here. But one of the issues with this is that although I love this battery here, the 750 milliamp, this is what I use in pretty much all my wireless builds, it's very big in terms of batteries for these builds, which is a benefit. I mean, it gives you a long battery life, but these standoffs here you can see kind of wouldn't fit if I was to chop that down to a 4x5 layout. So I wouldn't be able to actually use those there, and I'd have like support issues on the plate. So it's like, you know what? I'm just going to finally do a 4x6 build. I'm going to suffer with it and have that extra column here. I mean, saying that like it's a problem. It's not really a big deal. I just don't use the outer column. And this build is super small anyway. You can see it still fits in my hand, and it's actually smaller than the 4x5 ScottoHazard by default anyway with this extra column. So I'm going to grab the switches. I'm going to pop those into the plate now. So there is one half of the board with the reset on the right and the power on the left. We of course have our other side of the board with a reset or a power over here and a reset on the right here. And I was originally going to do that time lapse you just saw as one long section where I put the buttons in and then I do the switches. But I wanted to mention here just how much of a pain in the ass these little buttons were to actually do, because I have the nut in there, and as I was twisting this on, these cables are just like wrapping on themselves. And that last time lapse you saw was literally like 25 minutes of real time there to actually get these on. So what I recommend if you did build this build on your own is to actually just take the button, put it in there, and then just glue it in place. Don't mess around with these nuts there. It doesn't really make a difference doing it one way or the other. I would just recommend gluing it because it'll make your life a lot easier. But I'm going to put this down now. I'm going to grab my plates over here. I'm going to grab my switches, which yet again are Choc pinks, and hopefully this won't take anywhere near as long as these buttons just took to do. So I'm going to go through, pop the switches in. So there are all the switches in the board, and unsurprisingly, that didn't take nearly as long as the buttons to do. That took probably like 2 minutes to put these in, but they also look like Minecraft pigs, which is kind of funny because it's currently time for that once a year phase where you play Minecraft for like a week. Kind of is perfectly coinciding with that, where I'm in my Minecraft phase this year. Got the Minecraft pig board kind of being built. I think it's kind of funny, but if we flip this over and look on the back here, we have our middle pin where our diodes will go, and then we have our right pins here where the columns will go. Now on this board, one thing we have to actually keep in mind is that because it is Choc, and if I actually grab the case here and mention that these are 6mm standoffs here, it's a little bit lower profile than my MX boards where I normally use 8mm. So I'm using about 2mm less of height there. So what we're gonna actually use is I'm gonna grab these, which are my pre-cut wires. I like to pre-cut all my wires before these videos, just makes my life a little easier. But these are my column wires here, which is actually 18 gauge brass wire. Brass or copper will both work, but I'm just using 18 gauge because I only had brass and 18 gauge. I normally use 16 gauge for my builds, but this is a little bit thinner. So when I actually go to wire the columns up here, if I take this and put it on the right half there, you can see it kind of fits a lot better, and it's a lot lower profile to the board, so it just makes it a little bit easier. And I always start with the columns because I don't have to insulate anything, so it makes it a lot quicker to do that. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to wire up the columns, then we'll be back after where we talk about the diodes. So there are our columns all wired to the right pins on the switches here. The middle one is, of course, we'll use for the diodes in a moment. But the one thing I didn't mention that I should have mentioned is that because this is 18 gauge wire, it's a little bit thinner than the 16 gauge I normally use. This is actually 16 gauge here, so you can kind of see it's a little bit thinner there. But that difference in thickness actually allows it to have a lot lower thermal mass, meaning that when you solder to this, it heats up and cools down a lot quicker. So it's just kind of a little bit easier to use. So if you wanted to use 18 gauge on all your builds, you could actually do that. You don't have to use the 16 gauge that I normally use. I just use it because it's a lot heavier, it's a lot more substantial, it makes the builds a little bit heavier when they're done. But that's everything wired on there. I'm going to actually put this down now. I'm going to grab my pre-cut row wires here, yet again just some 18 gauge brass that's kind of cut to the length that it needs to be. I'm going to also grab my heat shrink tubing. This is marine heat shrink. I've mentioned this a few times in videos, but basically inside it has hot glue. So once it seals down on the row here, which I'll mark the intersections, so I'll mark the intersections, I'll put that on, and it actually glues to the wire, so it's a little bit helpful there. And then of course I have my pre-coiled diodes with my little diode coiling tool here, which link on the repo if you want to build one, or you can get one on my shop, either or, whatever you want. But it makes really easy to kind of coil these up and make them look really neat and work really nicely. But I'm going to go through, I'm going to do the rows. Now the thing I like to start with is I always start with the top row here because I don't have to actually insulate that. So I'm going to go through, do the rows, and then we'll be back after where we can talk about wiring it to the controller. So there's one half of the matrix wired up. I of course have the other half here. So there's the entire board with all 48 keys wired up. If I show you this nice and close, you can see that we have our insulating right there. It's insulating the column from the row. We have all our diodes nice and run. And on the bottom here, I actually did have to pull these diodes up when soldering them just so they cleared the lip on the case. So if we look at the case again, you can see it has that lip on the bottom there. I wanted to make sure it had enough clearance where those wouldn't be like interfering with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put this down. I'm going to grab this here, which is the silicone wire I'm going to be using. It is some 30 gauge wire here. I normally use this thicker stuff, which is 28 gauge, I believe, or 24 gauge, something like that. But this was actually sent to me by a client. If you're watching this, you know who you are. I appreciate you sending this because you're basically saving the day. But using that thinner wire yet again, so if we just compare, you can see just how much thinner that is. It's going to make it a lot easier to wire everything up in the case because we're kind of working with limited space here in terms of how much height we have to work with. So I'm going to put that down. I'm going to grab my nice nano over here. I'm going to set my iron to 280 degrees C because up until now I've actually been at, if we look here, been at 350 degrees Celsius. I'm going to do this at about 280 because nice nanos you're supposed to solder a little bit lower because you always do run the risk of damaging chip if you solder it too hot. So I'm going to set it to 280 and I'm going to just wire up the columns and the rows first. I'm probably going to do the battery stuff also. So I'm just going to get everything routed to the controller now and then we'll have a working board. So as you can see here, we have both halves of the board wired up. Now, as per usual with these videos, I was running out of storage on my recorder, so I only recorded the one half actually wiring it up, and the other half I didn't record, but it's exactly the same between both halves, so not really missing out much there other than I didn't record another 70 gigs on my recorder. So basically we have both halves here. If I actually pull this up now, we can take a look, and I'm gonna press that power switch and power it on. You can see that it does work, and then of course the reset over here. But the way that is working is that we have our battery on the bottom here, and this tape here is actually just Captain tape. It's something that I really like. It's a heat insulation tape basically, but it works really good for electronic applications like this. But it basically just holds this stuff in there. We have a red positive wire off the battery feeding into this black wire here, which probably should have been red, but it just kind of denotes that we're feeding into the battery, into the switch, and then we have a cable out of the switch feeding onto a red battery plus pad on the nice Nano there. Then of course we have our ground pad here feeding into the ground pad on the nice Nano. We have all our matrix wiring feeding in, and then on the right we have our reset switch, which just feeds into the bottom pin is the reset pin and the top is ground. Doesn't matter which one you send this to, just needs to connect there. So that's that. Of course I'm holding it in with some UV resin like I usually like to do, so just kind of holds it in there. And that is basically everything on the case here. Now the one thing that's really cool is if I actually hold this vertically, you can see how thin that wiring is. So the combination of the 30 gauge wire on this and just kind of how I routed it, I think it will be possible in the future to push this to 4mm standoffs. Now that is a challenge for a different day entirely. These are just 6mm. That would get us about 2mm shorter, which would be kind of nice. So one day in the future I might want to try that, but for now we're just rocking the 6mm. Now the other thing on here that I didn't mention that I want to mention now is that the color of this case is this Nebula purple. It's bamboo filament, but there's many other brands that basically do the same thing, but it's like this nice like purple and greenish color depending on how the light hits in it. It looks really cool. It's like not focusing there, but you can kind of see it. It looks really nice. So I like that. The thing I have to do now, of course, is I have to assemble the case, and then we also have to put the keycaps on. So I'm going to do this all in one shot. Basically, we have the keycaps here, and these are also printed in some bamboo black galaxy filament, basically just sparkly, but these are my ScottoCap scooped Choc edition, which a lot of people are aware that I have the ScottoCap scooped on the repo for free if you want to print those and download them and do them yourself. But I also have the Choc variant of them, which I don't think many people know. This is actually the first time I've ever using them, and the tolerances on these are like dead on. They fit really, really good, so I'm happy with that, but they look really nice. So I'm going to go through now. I'm going to assemble the rest of the board so it's all put in the case, and then we're going to go through and put the keycaps on, and we'll be able to actually type on it, because I actually did already put the firmware on it. It does work somehow. I'm very surprised that it did work for a shot, but we have a functioning board. We just did put it together. So I'm going to go through. I'm going to put this together now. I'll be back after. So there is the fully completed board, and I gotta say that I think that this board is giving, every once in a while with these projects, some of you probably know this, there's like this feeling you get where you're like, this is it. And this board here is giving that feeling. I really, really like it. Like the keycaps on it, I think they look really nice with that like little sparkle texture to them. The case color, the matching like reset and power button up top looks really good. It is a little like thinner too on the edges here. Normally I use a 5mm like border there, but this is actually 4mm. Part of that being that I was worried with my thumb with the Choc would hit. It's not hitting too much, so it's pretty good with the little like border there. The design here looks really cool, which I did actually raise up. If you are aware of the ScottoHazard, the kind of predecessor to this, this wasn't raised. This is only 0.4mm, but it kind of gives a little more 3D look to it, so I think it looks kind of cool there. Underneath we have basically nothing. We have just some screws there, and we can see our battery through it because of how thin it is. So I did actually intentionally orient the battery so you could kind of see the text on it, which I thought was kind of cool, because if you're going to see it, make it be a little cooler there so you can kind of see that. We have our nice little rubber feet, and just the overall design of it. I really like this board. I think it came out really good. And now, of course, the thing that probably a lot of you have been waiting for, and I have been waiting for because I haven't typed on it yet, of course, is the typing test. So we're going to jump in. We're going to do a typing test. These are the Choc pinks, which I am calling this my first real chalkboard, because up until now I've only used reds, whites, and I believe robins. Those are the only chalk switches I've used, which are like pretty heavy ones in terms of chalk. These I think are 30-gram bottom out, so they're fairly light. I mean, you can't really tell weight on a video, of course, but they're light, so the possibility of misclicks is very possible here, but we'll see. I think I'm going to like it, so we're going to go type on it, we're going to see how it sounds, and then we'll have some closing words. So I think it feels pretty good. I think it types really good. And you probably noticed on that I actually had it plugged in. That's because I'm on my studio computer down here, which has pretty bad Bluetooth reception because it's like on the other side of the room, like behind metal and walls and stuff. So I don't typically Bluetooth stuff down here. But when I put it upstairs on my actual computer, I'm going to, of course, Bluetooth it. But yeah, this is the board here. I'm really happy with how it came out. I mean, I already showed it off. Like, you can kind of really see the flip-flop here, which looks really cool with that color, but it looks really nice. It has some density to it. It, of course, is wireless, has a big battery in it. You can see the battery there, which is kind of a cool touch. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this board came out. And I mean, it's basically the evolution of my favorite board for the past few months, the ScottoHazard, which I always say that my favorite board is my most recent one. But I really did especially like the ScottoHazard, just the split of it, and it just kind of felt really good to type on. I think I really like the Aqua Penguins I used in it. But these here, the Choc pinks in this feel really good. I think this is going to be a great daily driver, and I'm really going to enjoy it. But this is also starting to get some other ideas popping around in my head where, like I mentioned, you know, we're using 6mm standoffs in this. I think it is possible to push it to 4mm standoffs, maybe 5. Like, drop 1 or 2 more millimeters off the height of hand wiring. Of course, if I did do this in a PCB, which maybe some subtle foreshadowing there of a PCB edition of this. We'll see where that goes. But I think if we did push it to a PCB, we could get this very, very, very thin, which would be really cool to do one day. But just some ideas popping around right now. Now, I should have mentioned this also towards the beginning of this video. I always kind of forget to mention it. If you do want to build this board yourself, all the files are available for free. So the firmware, the actual 3D files, if you want to modify them and do stuff with it, they're on the repo. There'll be a link down in the description where you can find that. And as per usual, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time.